So I've never properly talked about the game Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge on this channel. I talked about it on the podcast that I was on, the Party Wagon podcast with Eric from No You Grow Up, but I never actually got around to talking about it on this channel. Originally I was going to do a review video of it on this channel, but you know, so many times I have months where I just can't really work on videos, and I'm guessing around the June that it came out was, what was that, 2022, 2023? I don't even remember anymore. I think it was 2022. It feels like it wasn't even that long ago, but I guess when it came out, it was one of those months where I just didn't have time to do a video. But I felt like I needed to do a quick one here for this because it's related to something I talked about on the podcast, and it's involving a character that I've expressed that I've been a very big fan of since I was a kid. And it's kind of a strange case here. So back on the podcast, when they added Usagi Yojimbo and Karai to the game, I said I was pretty disappointed in them adding Karai because she wasn't a character from the original 87 cartoon show, which is what the game was supposed to be built on. And I felt like she didn't really belong. There were so many characters from the 87 cartoon that I wanted to see in the game first. And I initially expressed interest in them adding a bunch of other heroes to the game after Casey was unlockable and all. I felt like, oh, they got to add, tons of other playable characters. And my top 3 picks, I said, of characters I wanted in the game were Mondo Gecko, Mona Lisa, and Muckman and Joe Eyeball. And we didn't get Muckman, but we got Mondo Gecko and Mona Lisa seemingly out of nowhere. And I didn't know there was going to be any more DLC for this game. I thought after Karai and Usagi and the survival mode, which I just recently figured out were the new stages that they added in that first wave of DLC with Usagi, I thought they were done. I didn't think there was anything else coming out after that. So seemingly out of nowhere, we get Mona Lisa and Mondo Gecko in the Radical Reptiles pack, and it's 2 of the characters that I said I wanted. And now I said I expected Mondo Gecko. I had been saying that for a while. I thought, if we got Usagi, the next character would be Mondo Gecko, probably just based on popularity and iconography. Like, he's a very well-remembered and beloved character from the original cartoon and toy line when it comes to secondary characters. But I was never in a million years expecting Mona Lisa to be in. And I said in the podcast about how there was like a fan who animated or just drew like a mock-up of the sprites of what she could potentially look like if she was playable in the game back when the game first launched. And I said how like there's always a lot of fans who love Mona Lisa and want her to come back in modern Ninja Turtles stuff. The original 87 Mona Lisa, I know they've reimagined her as totally different characters many times in completely different reboot versions of the Turtles, but a lot of people want that 87 Mona Lisa to come back, and it just seemed like for the longest time she got ignored. It even took NECA like so many years to make a figure for her, even though she's always been a pretty big fan favorite when it comes to the one-off characters. So it's kind of crazy that we got her already in the game. It seems that they would have put anyone else in there first. I was not expecting Mona Lisa to ever be playable in this game. And I just think it's awesome that they made her playable. And it's freaking awesome that they made Mondo Gecko playable also. Those are 2 of my favorite Ninja Turtle characters right there. Well, I guess especially when you're talking about heroes. Most of my favorite Ninja Turtle characters are villains. But when you're talking the heroes, Mondo Gecko and Mona Lisa are 2 of my top favorites. And being able to play as them in a video game is kind of mind-blowing. Like, once you start playing it, you just get used to it. But I was playing, survival mode with Mona Lisa and leveling her up and everything. And at some point, you just kind of stop and realize, like, oh, this is that character from when I was like 3 years old. And I saw her in the cartoon show and had a crush on her as a kid. Like, this is that character that's, been in my head all these years. Mondo Gecko, this toy I loved as a kid that's, just been living in my head for years and years and years. and I'm playing as them in a video game. And it's extra weird for Mona Lisa because Mondo Gecko has always kind of stayed somewhat relevant. Definitely in the 2000s, I think all those 87 characters kind of took a back seat, but ever since like the Turtles nostalgia got really big in the 2010s, I feel like Mondo Gecko has been beloved and he's been represented a lot and he's never gone away as a fan favorite. But Mona Lisa was just generally ignored for a long time, and it feels really surreal playing as Mona Lisa in a video game when she's been a character I feel like almost nobody but myself remembered for the past like 30 plus years. It's also extra crazy that, it's been so many decades since they really did anything with the 87 series version of Mona Lisa. But the same week that we get her in Shredder's Revenge, we also happen to get her in the IDW side series of comics that are a continuation of the 87 cartoon. And she's on the front cover. So like she's starring in a comic and in a video game at the same time. And I don't normally collect this line of comics. I'm not really a big comic collector, but you have Mona Lisa and you have the Mummy, like from Universal Monsters in here. So they're tempting me a little too hard there. I think I'm going to have to grab that comic. So it's really crazy that she's in the game. It's kind of like a dream come true. And Mondo's a dream come true also, but like Mono's one that felt like it couldn't come true. So it's really cool. I don't know if it's her original voice actress or if it's Mondo's original voice actor. They generally try to get the original voice talent, but I don't know if they actually did for them. But regardless, they got everything. She has her blowfish mace, which was from the action figure, and they actually colored it correctly. It's like the magenta color that the action figure had. She's represented as a scientist, which she was. She's also kind of like goofy and snarky like she was in the cartoon, like she was Raphael's match. I think they did a really good job with her. One of her color alts is her action figure colors from the Playmates toy that was different. And she has other colors that represent IDW and the 2012 series and stuff. But they just got so much down perfect. Mondo Gecko has like the exhaust on the back of his skateboard that shoots the flames out just like in the cartoon and the action figure and all. And they just got them both down so perfectly. And I was a little worried when I first saw the official artwork from Mondo Gecko that he wouldn't be that good, because the official render, like no disrespect to the artist, it's a good drawing, but it just doesn't look like Mondo. He's like really chest heavy and he has like sharp teeth and stuff, and he looks like the Tasmanian Devil, to be honest. He looks like Taz, and I'm just like, what is this version of Mondo Gecko? But then as soon as you go to the character selection screen and you see the image of him there, it's like, okay, this is Mondo, and he looks great in the game. And Mona Lisa just always looks great when they draw her in this game. There's a couple of choices that are a little weird. Mondo being slow but strong is kind of strange, because being on a skateboard, you would think he'd be fast. And even though he was built, he was never as big as most of the other Turtles characters, so I don't picture him being like a powerhouse. And even though Mona Lisa was a scientist in the show, I feel like they've created this cackling, maniacal, mad scientist persona for her that I don't think quite fits her personality. It seems a bit over the top, but I'm generally fine with it, even though when she throws potions, she looks like Fawful from the Mario and Luigi games. Yeah, there's really nothing else to say. I'm just really glad we got these characters. I hope we keep getting more characters, and I know it's not likely we'd probably get a sequel before this, but I really hope we get like another campaign, like a whole new wave of levels, because I love survival mode. It's way more fun than I thought it would be. But it's more just like, a challenge thing. It's not actually new levels. So I would love to get a new campaign. Fingers really crossed for a villains campaign. I know it wouldn't be in their best interest at Nickelodeon to have a game where you beat the crap out of the 4 turtles. But, it would be really fun to have a villains campaign. Even if they weren't fighting the good guys, you could have like a third party set of villains show up, like Lord Dreg and his guys or something, or the Triceratons. Like, have someone for the villains to have to fight that isn't the Turtles if you don't want them beating the crap out of Splinter or something. But yeah, it would be so fun to play as the villains, and they did add, the ability to temporarily play as Bebop, Rocksteady, and the Shredder, and unfortunately they're a little boring to play because they have way less moves than the other characters, but it's cool that you can play as them technically, even if it's just for a limited time. But an actual villains campaign would be pretty awesome. But regardless, this is great. I can't believe it's real. Keep up the good work. This game never stops being like one of the coolest things to come out from the past 5 years. I love this game. Do all the liking and subscribing and the sharing and the bell stuff.